Happy American Heart Month! Today we're happy to chat with Nancy Tobbe and Dr. Amrita Karve from the American Heart Association. They'll tell us what we need to know about heart health, the importance of prevention, and unique risk factors for both men and women. Also, we hear healthy buzzwords all the time, like whole grain, organic, free range. But what do they actually mean, and which ones matter most to your health? Find out that and more coming up on Health is Real.
Come on in, stay a while. Andrew Stinson here alongside Angela Taw and Zach Watson. The name of the podcast is Health is Real from Franklin County Public Health, coming to you today from Memorial Hall in downtown Columbus, Ohio. Angela, how's it going today?
Good, Andrew. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And Zach, how are you today?
Also happy to be here.
Well, wonderful. What a pleasant start to our show today. And I'm so excited to introduce our two guests today. We have Dr. Amrita Karve, American Heart Association board member and co-director of the Women's Heart Program at Mount Carmel Health System, and also Nancy Tobbe, executive director of the American Heart Association. Welcome, guests. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having us.
Wow,
that was
perfect.
So I guess just tell us a little bit about yourselves. We'll start with Dr. Karve. What does your job entail? How did you get into this field in the first place?
Well, I am a cardiologist, so I do inpatient and outpatient consultations in the hospital setting and also in the office setting. But I'm also the co-director of the Women's Heart Program at Mount Carmel Health, which is a program that's designed to increase awareness of heart disease in women and also reduce gender disparities in both diagnosis and treatment.
Excellent. And Nancy Tobbe, Executive Director, American Heart Association, how did you get into the field?
Well, really, I've always wanted to do something to better our community. And so I've been with the organization, the American Heart Association, for over 16 years in a variety of roles, but have sat in this seat for nearly 4 years now. But I get the honor to work with an amazing team who gets to work with our community and make and drive impact and really to better the health of our community.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you both explained your background and everything. You both have just a myriad of wonderful experience. So we are lucky to have you. Thank you again from behalf of just strictly me for being here. So I'm very happy that you're here. So tell us, it's going to be American Heart Month, February, if I'm correct, right?
Correct.
Okay. Why is it important?
You know, American Heart Month is really about bringing education and awareness to our community to understand that cardiovascular disease is our number one health risk, and it's highly preventable. And less than half of Americans realize that cardiovascular disease is their number one killer. So it's really about kind of embracing, empowering, and educating our community to really realize the impact of cardiovascular diseases and stroke.
Can you talk to us a little bit about just heart health in general, heart disease, what some risk factors might be? Because, cardiovascular disease can feel like a really big umbrella. Can you help us just get our arms around it a little more?
That's right. It is a huge umbrella, and there are several different components of heart disease. Most commonly, when people think about heart disease, they think about heart attacks or blockages in the coronary arteries, and those are the arteries that supply blood flow and oxygen and nutrients to all parts of the heart muscle. So that is a component that most people refer to as having heart disease. However, there can also be problems with the actual heart muscle that can lead to heart failure or a heart muscle weakness problem. Can also be problems with the valves, which are the doors that sort of connect the different chambers of the heart to each other. And finally, there can also be problems with the electrical conduction system of the heart. But most of the time when people talk about heart disease, they're referring to blockages in the coronary arteries. And for that particular problem, which can affect all of the other areas that fall under the heart disease umbrella, some of those risk factors are most commonly smoking, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and inactivity.
Gotcha. And, I think for a lot of the people listening out there, you hear the terms heart attack and you hear cardiac arrest, and I feel like sometimes people lump them together and think that they're the same thing, but I know that they're not. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between cardiac arrest and heart attack?
Yeah, so a heart attack happens when there's a blockage that builds up in the arteries that supply the heart muscle, and eventually they can completely cut off flow to that part of the heart. And that can result in a heart attack. And sometimes when heart attacks are very severe, the heart will actually stop beating and stop pumping, and that is called a cardiac arrest. So that is slightly different from a heart attack. A cardiac arrest can happen from other causes too, but since we're generally talking here about coronary disease as it refers to heart disease, that's where a cardiac arrest can happen.
And then the importance then of CPR and AED use along with that too. Those are important things to remember.
Absolutely. So if there is a patient who has a cardiac arrest, meaning that their heart is no longer beating, the first way in which that usually manifests is somebody passing out or blacking out. And in that situation, a bystander must immediately start chest compressions and get an AED to help resuscitate that person.
If I can add too, really the American Heart Association launched the Nation of Lifesavers, and our goal is that ultimately every household knows the life-saving skill of hands-only CPR. While it's important, especially for our infants and young children, to know really the compressions and the breaths, we really are trying to embrace the hands-only CPR and really encourage our community to have that hands-on experience of learning hands-only CPR, because we know most of cardiac arrest deaths happen outside of the hospital, and it's usually someone you love who you are going to have to administer. And so we're working alongside many organizations, many health systems, education organizations such as yourself to bring that education to Central Ohio. And really it's about that emergency response plan. We obviously recently passing House Bill 47 and CPR in schools and the AED. So it's but we really just are encouraging a nation, a community of bystanders to learn a hands-only CPR to be a nation of lifesavers.
And I will say from firsthand experience, all of the efforts of the American Heart Association, they truly do make a difference, because there are people where a family member has seen them pass out and they start CPR and they do walk out of the hospital, and it's really amazing and gratifying to see how big of a difference your work is making too.
Yeah, I completely agree with that sentiment, because I remember ages ago when, I was real young and babysitting some neighbors and nieces and everything, I did a CPR training through the American Heart Association. So I should probably re-up on that, but it's just great that you guys have put that effort in for so long so that people have that information for a lifetime.
I think it's always important for everybody to know, at least minimally, the hands-only CPR. But also, I think we go into organizations and ask, do you know where your AED is? And a lot of times people can't even raise their hand, or they don't have an AED. So I think that's also the important piece of it, is how do we get more of that education into the community and into the hands of those who are living here in Central Ohio.
So in February, there's a large focus on women. I'm thinking Go Red for Women Day and things like that. Because it is harder to identify some heart disease risks in women. Can you guys speak to different warning signs and unique risk factors that affect women?
So chest pain is still the number one presenting symptom in both men and women for heart disease. So definitely women should not forget that if they're having chest pain, that is a sign or symptom of a heart attack, and they should call 911 and go to the ER. Women may have some additional symptoms beyond that. One of the common ones is fatigue. Women in general, in my experience, just generally feel more fatigue or a profound sense of fatigue in the days prior to an event than men do. But chest pain is still the number one red flag sign. There are other symptoms to look out for in both men and women, including chest pain or pressure, heaviness, shortness of breath, sweating, nausea, vomiting, especially if they all come in a cluster together, or if any of those symptoms, particularly chest pain, is worse with exertion and relieved with rest, or if these symptoms occur more often in the morning than at nighttime. That is actually another red flag as well.
So follow up, and maybe this is potentially sort of the background behind Go Red for Women Day, but in your experience collectively, or at least in my experience as sort of a day-to-day person noticing things, I do feel like there's not a lot of notice or recognition on women's heart health. You often more hear about, everybody's concern for their father or uncle or grandfather who has like a poor diet or, physiological habits or things like that. So can you speak to that at all? Do you see that a lot in your field, that there's sort of this lack of recognition of, hey, women can have heart health issues too?
I can definitely speak to that. So, really when you look at the American Heart Association has been doing work for over 100 years now. And when you look at the scope of our work, women really started to just be a focus. Go Red for Women was really started just over 20 years ago, because we looked at, asking women, do you know your number one killer? And most women didn't even have heart disease in their top 5. And that's scary when you look at it. And heart disease claims more lives than all forms of cancer combined. So when you look at it, and it's highly preventable, and it goes back to the old adage, like, put your mask on first before you can help others. Women aren't going to see their preventative care doctors. They're not, they're not going once a year to get their checkups. They don't know their blood pressure. And so when you look at it and you think about it, yes, all Americans are impacted. Cardiovascular disease does not discriminate. It's the number one killer of new babies. It's the number one killer of moms. It's the number one killer of new moms. It's the number of women, men. And so, but when you look at it, women still just don't realize that it's their number one health risk. And so that's why Go Red for Women and Wear Red Day on Friday, February 7th is so important. Yes, everybody needs to take care of themselves, but we need everybody to make sure the women in their lives are also taking care of themselves. And so I can tell you, I've been in meetings with highly educated C-suite executives, and they're like, no way, it's not my number one health risk. And I was like, but it is. If you look at the stats and the facts, and it's highly preventable. I think there's things that, now with, measurements around sleep, how much sleep you're getting, we can't measure stress yet, but stress plays a role. I think there are so many factors, and we just don't have enough education when it comes to women. We need more research. We need more women around the table. We need more women in STEM. I think that's part of it, is bringing women to help solve the problem alongside our male counterparts as well.
Yes, and fortunately, there is more research being done just on heart disease in women, and especially in the last 5 to 10 years, they have identified some more female-specific risk factors that do play a role. So, for example, autoimmune disease is a really big one as a risk factor for having a heart attack, but also prior cancer history, like breast cancer, radiation, or chemotherapy. Those can also cause heart disease in a different way in women. Finally, I think part of the problem is that women also develop heart disease at an older age compared to men. And so when you get that, stereotypical movie bit of a man in his mid-50s who's a smoker and overweight having a heart attack, women do get blockages in their arteries. They get them at an older age, and sometimes it presents in a slightly different way. So rather than boom, a one-time heart attack, classic like that, it can also be like a slow, diffuse obstruction of their arteries over time that occurs in a way that's more silent, I guess, and it manifests much later in a less surprising way, but is still a number one killer of women.
And you mentioned before National Wear Red Day, which is coming up. Also, I think the city of Columbus is lighting red. Is that right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have, again, another area for education is buildings going red. So we have many of our buildings here in the city of Columbus going red, proclamation happening. I know we'll be talking with many of our representatives as well. And just, again, that education piece. So we're really rallying our community together to bring awareness to cardiovascular disease.
Perfect. So really quick, can you talk about the importance of prevention in heart health?
Absolutely. So just like Nancy said, there is definitely a preventable component to it. Managing the risk factors, including high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes control, and prevention, are all key. Keeping weight down and exercising regularly are key. Not smoking. And also going to the cardiologist or your family doctor for regular prevention type tools. One of those that's becoming more prominent in young, healthy people who just want a screening tool is something called a calcium score. A calcium score is a simple CT-based technique that just is a snapshot of how much plaque buildup there is in the arteries up to a person's, up to the point in life at which they have it done. So generally, we are now recommending it for people in their early 40s so you can catch it before the heart disease really builds up. So late 30s, early 40s is kind of the time now. We used to be doing it in the 50s and 60s, but at that point, plaque had already built up. So we're moving it to a younger age. So that is a very useful tool to do as well.
Yes, for those of you at home, there's a little bit of chortling and or my hypochondriatic side coming out because I'm about to be in my late 30s in the next few years. So I'm just sitting over here like, oh no, okay, great, yeah, fantastic.
With that too, with prevention in mind, I know that American Heart Association has something called Life's Essential 8. Can you speak to that, Nancy?
Yeah, so, we have a lot of great free resources, on our websites to just really understand your kind of health score. So we do have the Life's Essential 8. We also have our My Heart Check. So it's just a simple take a test online, and it kind of gives you a heart score. Mind you, go see a doctor. That is the most important thing. Get your regular checkups, but at least gets you understanding where maybe you could help focus. And those Life's Essential 8 are really those risk factors, I think, as Dr. Karve had already mentioned, many of them. And now you're going to test me. I always have to use my fingers. It's, looking at, do you know your blood pressure? Diabetes, your glucose is a huge one right now. I recently had a cardiologist joke. He's like, I didn't get into cardiology. I wanted to avoid diabetes, and that's now all I'm seeing as a cardiologist is diabetic patients. So I think knowing your glucose, I think it's a huge area of focus for us as an organization. I think we look at, your cholesterol. You want to look at, I think I've said blood pressure, cholesterol, glucose, smoking, physical activity, eating healthy, and the sleep was recently added, which is always the hardest one, I think. We had a Life Essential 7, we had the Life Simple 7, and then they moved it to 8, and yeah, that sleep one is the one that always gets me. But that physical activity is the other one.
It is so wild to think that how much sleep, like good sleep, can affect your body. Like the physiological makeup of your body is just totally, it astounds me every single time.
It impacts your mental health. And we know our science is showing mental health also plays a key role in your cardiovascular health. So I don't think people understand, just the connection of your entire body. You need brain health, your heart health, really, it's that mind, mind-body, wellness that we really encourage as an organization. But sleep plays a pivotal role. And again, that mental health, that physical health, all of that. Again, the toughest one for me. I know I'm guilty of that one for sure.
Yeah, I think all of us can afford to get a little bit more sleep at night. I think that's true. Something I like to do sort of with all of our guests is to ask this kind of like a pageant question, right? It's kind of silly, but I think there's a lot that we can learn from folks with this. If you could wave a magic wand and change anything related to public health, what one thing would you change? I guess I'll start with you, Nancy.
Oh no, I was hoping I'd go second. That's hard. I think it comes down to community and collaboration. I think we need to work together. I think that access to care, making sure, and education, it's a hard question to answer because it really comes down to all of us lifting each other up to make sure we have the ability to have a full, healthy life. And so I think that's what I would change is just more education, awareness, and access to care. I think, it's there, but I think some people just don't know where to go. It's not a really good answer. It's just a hard one. I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe ease of access. I don't know. Or somewhere like a magic wand where you could press a button and people would know where to go for
absolutely
everything they need.
I totally agree with you about the awareness part for people to just know that they're not above certain illnesses because of their lifestyle. But also to add on to that, I think if this is my sort of world peace part of the pageant, is that I would wish for public health to be more joyful and less joyless, less as of a chore of something they have to do, but something to really take pleasure in. Like, take pleasure in healthy food and activity and sleep and social connection, and enjoy your life, and everything will follow.
I love that.
That's both perfect answers, by the way. Fantastic answers. I've been put for a random ending with no elaboration whatsoever.
Well, from time to time, Zach will end with a random thing that he has thought of that he hasn't told me or Angela about.
Far too important.
And I wanted to leave room just in case you had something. He's a bit of an improv major here.
Oh my god!
So I just wanted to leave some space. You know, if you're feeling the pressure, you don't have to. We can end it just as it is.
I'm a showman, if nothing more. So no, I do have one serious closing question, not a humorous one, because again, they're far too important for that. So I love to ask this question as a former journalist. Is there anything else that you want to let people who are listening know, whether it's about stuff you're working on, stuff that's important to you, like it could be within the topic, maybe like another branched off topic, or if there's sort of anywhere you see like heart health and everything that you're working on going, just anything you want to let people know in terms of generalities or, things for future consideration.
So I have two things that I think are really cool, again, being with the organization over 16 years now. One, food is medicine. So healthcare by food with the American Heart Association. So ultimately our goal is food scripts will be reimbursed fully, just like medication. And, a doctor could prescribe a food, pathway for individuals, because we know food is such it's just an integral part of overall health. So I think that is really cool. So pay attention to healthcare by food. We have some ongoing research actually happening in Central Ohio right now, which is also very fun to have that happening in our backyard. And it's a bigger thing. And then the second thing is the importance of supporting women. So we have the Go Red for Women Venture Fund that we just launched this past year. And it's kind of awesome, but also very scary. So we had a wonderful donor who actually has ties to Columbus, Ohio, also add to the value of this fund. The American Heart Association also put in $20 million. And ultimately this goal is we want another $20 million. But once it happens, and this is as an American Heart Association, it'll be about, a $50 to $60 million venture fund solely focused on women's health outside of reproductive and maternal health, because we have so much happening there. So it's going to be about devices, research, and really looking at women, really being a venture fund for young companies around women's health. And I think that's really cool, but it's also kind of scary. When you think of venture funds, you think they're in the trillions, billion, and that'll be the largest venture fund solely focused on women's health ever. And that to me is cool, but also very sad that that's going to be the first time ever we have one that's, it's not even as big as many of these venture funds you hear about globally as well. So those are the two things that I'm really excited about coming for healthcare.
I can't top that. Well, the only thing I wanted to reiterate then is the importance of prevention, and on an individual level, seeking out your primary care doctor if you're in your late 30s or early 40s, even 50s, really, to get a calcium score so you can get ahead of any plaque buildup before it gets there.
That's great. Thank you guys so much. Again, our guest today, Dr. Amrita Karve, American Heart Association board member and co-director of the Women's Heart Program at Mount Carmel Health System, and Nancy Tobbe, executive director of the American Heart Association. Thank you both so much for coming on our podcast today.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so, we've done a couple of segments, Does Angela Know? We've done some of these quizzes from Ohio Health, the good people at Ohio Health on their website. They've got some short little fun quizzes. And Zach, you're here in office today. And you know what? Let's play Does Zach Know? This quiz is called Healthy Buzzwords. There are plenty of healthy-sounding words that entice you to buy food products, like whole grain or organic or free range. But do you know what they mean and which ones matter most to your health?
I like to think that I hopefully do know what some of them mean, and we will try. I will try my best. There is no we. I will try my best. This is scary. Let's do this.
Okay, question number one. What does farm fresh mean on an egg carton? and there's 4 choices. I'll read them out to you. A is the eggs were packaged on the farm.
Okay.
B is the eggs have to be sold during a certain time frame. C is no preservatives have been used. Or D is it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, God. D is so tempting. I like that. I like the answer D. But I'm going to go ahead. Was it B that says they were packaged within a certain time frame?
Eggs have to be sold during a certain time frame. Is that what you're going to go with?
This feels wrong, but I like it. I don't know why I like that answer. Of course.
I'm so sorry. The correct answer, you're going to kick yourself, is D.
Okay. Yeah. Should
Farm
have
fresh.
went with the gut on that one.
Farm fresh is a marketing term meant to sound healthy. Who doesn't like the idea of food that's fresh from the farm? But it actually doesn't mean anything. So that's good to know. Doesn't mean anything.
Great.
Next
Fantastic.
question is, what does multigrain mean? Multigrain. A, the product contains at least 3 kinds of grain. B, the product contains only whole grains. C, it doesn't matter what grains the product contains. Or D, the product contains wheat, barley, and bulgur.
First off, once again, I love C. I love
And
just,
maybe there's a theme. Maybe it doesn't matter is the way to go. I don't know the answers, right? So I can't help you.
Will you do me a favor and read A and B again?
Sure. A is the product contains at least 3 kinds of grain. And B is the product contains only whole grains.
God, I feel like it's got to be B. Right?
go B?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Is it A?
The answer is C. Multigrain just means
Gotta go with these answers.
it doesn't matter what grains the product contains. Multigrain just means it has more than one grain, but it doesn't matter what the grains are or if they're whole grains. So maybe there's a theme to these. We'll see. The first 2 have been that it doesn't matter. So we'll see.
Got it. Okay.
Next up is, what is BPA? BPA.
Okay.
A chemical used to make certain plastics. B, a commonly used pesticide. C, a fertilizer that promotes rapid crop growth. Or D, a growth hormone given to cows. So none of them are, it doesn't matter.
I
So-
know, which is heartbreaking.
I know.
I would have chosen it. This question does not matter. Give me that one. No, I'm gonna go with A because I've seen BPA free on a lot of cups, Tupperware, that sort of thing.
You got it right.
Wow, look at
BPA, it stands for something that I can't pronounce, but you got it right. It is a chemical used to make certain plastics and resins. How about that? Moving on, question 4. Why is sea salt healthier than table salt? Why is sea salt healthier than table salt? A, it is less refined. B, it comes from natural sources. C is A and B, so both it's less refined and it comes from natural sources. Or D, it isn't healthier.
God dang it. The temptation is just there. It really feels like the point of this entire questionnaire is to be like, it doesn't matter, man.
I mean, it kind of seems like that, at least
Yeah.
for some of them.
Yeah, healthier. That's just like your opinion. Let's go. Okay, I'm gonna go with. Is it B that's both A and or C? It's option C that's both A and B, right?
You're going to go with C.
I'm gonna go with C, which is gonna hurt. Let's do it. It's D, isn't it? It's
The correct answer is D. While sea salt is less refined than salt, that doesn't change the nutritional value. So I guess there's a theme. Maybe we can ride that theme out here. Question number 5. What does grass-fed beef have compared to other beef? A, less total fat. B, more omega-3 fatty acids. C, more antioxidant vitamins. Or D, all of the above.
I don't like this quiz at all.
The good people at Ohio Health made it.
I love you guys at Ohio Health. Thank you. I'm just joking. I'm just frustrated because I want to know the answers. I'm gonna go with D, all of the above.
That's what I would pick too. I haven't clicked yet, so I don't know if I'm right. But
Okay.
I usually when there's an all of the above, that's what I tend to go
They
with.
all just seem legit as well. Okay.
That's the right answer.
Okay, thank God. Yeah, not one of them seemed suspect to me, but yeah.
Yep, absolutely. All right, question 6. What can be included in a food labeled all natural?
Okay.
So, A is artificial colors. B is hydrogenated oils. C is synthetic additives. Or D, none of the above. What can be included in a food labeled all natural?
See, this is the one where I feel like they're trying to trick you with the D, all of the above. Like one of these things can be in there, and I feel like if listen, I'm probably going to be wrong. I feel like it's going to be artificial coloring. That's what I'm going to go with.
You're going to go with A, artificial colors?
Yeah, probably wrong. All the above?
Actually, it's not all of the above. The answer is B, hydrogenated oils. Did you know there isn't a legal FDA definition of all natural? While the agency says it's wrong to label foods as natural if they contain artificial color, flavor, or synthetic additives, that leaves the door wide open for hydrogenated oils. So that's why hydrogenated oils can be included.
Yeah, I had known that, there are certain things like, you don't have to by law put a calorie count on concentrate, even though concentrate does have added sugars. You don't have to put that. So my alarm bells were sort of ringing on that one. I was like, something in this list is allowed. So
Gotcha. Question 7. What is the primary reason for a gluten-free diet? A is better health. B is weight loss. C is managing celiac disease. Or D, all of the above.
Oh my God.
I think
this one is fake, obvious. I'm gonna go ahead with focusing on celiacs. I feel like I've heard from anecdotally, it's not a guaranteed better health or weight loss thing. I don't know though.
you're going to go with C, managing celiac disease. That is the right answer.
There you go.
A gluten-free diet is primarily used as a treatment for celiac disease. So yeah, good job getting that one right. That was tricky. I probably would have went with all of the above and been wrong, so good job. Question 8, which is not a form of sugar? A is stevia. B is agave nectar. C is diastase. Or D is rice syrup, which is not a form of sugar. So all 3 out of the 4 are sugars.
I've used stevia and agave nectar to sweeten things.
Okay.
I'm going to eliminate those. The other one I have not heard of. I'm going to go with, what was D? It was
D was rice syrup.
rice syrup. I've had rice syrup in a dish, and I don't think its primary function is to sweeten. I'm going to go with rice syrup. I hope I'm not wrong.
Actually, the correct answer is A, stevia. There are a lot of sneaky ways to say sugar, as many as 50 different kinds or more. In fact, many foods not found in nature do contain sugar, so it's best to stick to whole foods as much as possible. Stevia is a plant-based, zero-calorie sweetener that has been shown to not increase blood sugar levels. Interesting there. Question 9 of 10. What is manufactured trans fat? You know.
It's so simple,
It's so simple. What is manufactured trans fat? A, vegetable oil with hydrogen added. B, chemically processed animal fat. C, a blend of synthetic oils. Or D, chemically processed palm oil.
Oh my God, this is like an idiot trap. This is the one that sound like you're.
I don't
dumb
think
with.
so. I don't think this is an idiot trap.
I'm between C or D. Those two hop out to me the most.
C is a blend of synthetic oils, and D is chemically processed palm oil.
God, it could be either one of those. I'm gonna go C. It's gonna be D, isn't it? C. I'll go C.
Actually, the correct answer is A, vegetable oil with hydrogen added. Yeah, while it's true.
I love this.
I think Angela has had her share of these moments, and I've had mine with the voting laws quiz. I did very poorly on. So you're joining a big club here, Zach, today. Yeah, the answer to that one was vegetable oil with hydrogen added. But there is still one more question. Let's see what we've got here. Question 10. Which food contains healthy levels of probiotics? A, sour pickles. B, miso soup. C, yogurt. Or D, all of the above.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, here's the thing. I know yogurt does. That is a fact. I know that.
Okay. So it's either C or D then.
Not known miso soup to have a lot of probiotics. I just let's go D. Hail Mary. Let's Hail
Going
Mary.
for D?
Yeah, going for D. But
You got it right.
Magical.
Probiotic foods contain living bacteria that are good for your body. There are plenty of foods with beneficial amounts of probiotics, which are shown to aid in digestion, with an array of other possible benefits, from reducing cholesterol to boosting the immune system. Fermentation adds probiotics to a wide variety of foods, and probiotics are also available through supplements. Compare brands to find one with a higher number of microorganisms, which will make them more effective. So some good tips there. So all in all, Zach, you got 4 out of 10. How do you feel about that score?
Honestly, not bad. Some of these were very tricky, a little deceptive. But I look to the good folks at Ohio Health. I mean, it is. It's meant to sort of this survey is engineered to show you like, wow, there's a lot that kind of goes by under a broad label and stuff like that. You know, FDA law and these things can be antiquated and or strange.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're tough. They're
Yeah.
tough. But good job anyways. Good job, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Health is Real podcast from Franklin County Public Health. We want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts at fcph@franklincountyohio.gov, and be sure to follow us on your favorite social media platforms. And did you know that we offer vaccine clinics and education throughout Franklin County for both children and adults? Talk to a public health nurse to ask questions or schedule your vaccine appointment by calling us at 614-525-3719 or email shots@franklincountyohio.gov.